Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Amanda. If you're new here, I have a 2-year-old named Maggie, and today I'm going to be showing you how I made this cute little Montessori toddler apron. And I think it's a Montessori apron because they can get it on themselves, kind of like a t-shirt. There's no ties or Velcro or anything like that. So they are hopefully able to just pull it on over their head like a t-shirt. And it's great for gardening, for cooking, for arts and crafts, and anything else that your little toddler wants to get into with you. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into making this little apron. Supplies for this project include fabric that's pre-washed with matching thread and a bobbin. You want this to match the trim color that you're going to use. We of course need some pins, a ruler of some kind, fabric scissors, an iron, and a t-shirt in the size that your child is currently wearing. So the first thing I did was make a pattern by using Maggie's t-shirt. So basically I'm just going to lay the t-shirt out and trace around it. It's not going to be exactly perfect. You're going to have to make some edits as you go, but I just tucked her sleeves under so that I could trace the shape of the front of the t-shirt. And then we're going to also need a back piece as well, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. For the back of the apron, you're going to flip the t-shirt over, and we're going to trace again with the arm sleeves tucked in. And only go about halfway down the t-shirt because we are just going to remove the t-shirt and make a little arc shape across the back. When I was cutting this out, I did leave about a 1/2 inch seam allowance just because I wasn't sure what all fabric I needed, because we're really just making this pattern as we go. So give yourself some space so that if you need to trim it down you can, but you cannot add more fabric back in, so it's always better to err on the side of caution. Once the front of the apron was cut out, I folded it in half to line up the sides and make trims as needed just to make it a bit more even. I did the same thing with the back piece. It was a little wonky, but it did end up all working out in the end, so if it's not perfect, don't beat yourself up over it. When you're all done cutting your pieces out, you should have something that looks a bit like this, and see what I mean about the back having an arc across the back piece, and that's just going to make it easier for your child to put the apron on. And this is the model that I'm using. It's from Montessori Vero, and this is a little bit small for Maggie, and that's why I wanted to make her the next size up. The next thing we're going to do is pin our pieces together at the top of the shoulder and the sides, and we're going to do right sides of the fabric facing together so we can attach the apron. As you can see, there's a little bit of open space where the apron comes together. It's not completely flat, and that's a good thing because you want to be able to fit their shoulders and arms in there. So the t-shirt, when you trace it, it'll help you with that shape. All right, now for the fun part. We're going to go over to our sewing machine. I haven't sewn on my machine in about a year, so forgive me. This takes me a minute to get warmed up. Also, don't pay attention to the fact that I have 2 different manicures. I was in between painting projects, but yes, we are going to come over here and sew our shoulders together, and always do a back stitch to secure your threads at the beginning and the end. Just gives you a bit more of a sturdy garment, especially for something that's going to be thrown into the washing machine. So go ahead and repeat that on the other shoulder as well as the 2 sides. At this point, you can turn your apron right side out, and this is when I noticed I had a little bit of problems still, so I just went ahead and snipped those so that it was even more of a clean look. Can you see? We're doing a lot of editing as we go here. The next thing I did before I added the edging was to fold the apron in half and then give the edges sort of a curved edge just to make it a little bit cuter. You don't have to do this if it's easier for you to do your edging in straight lines, but I felt that this just made it look a little bit nicer. One more edit is needed around these armpit holes, so I'm just going to trim those up again. At this point, I'm pretty happy with the shape of the apron, so now it's time to move on to the trim, which is going to make it look really polished. I had some scrap fabric left over from a quilt that I made, so they were already cut into 2-inch strips, but I think 2 inches is good. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold your strips of cloth in half, iron it. It really helps if you iron it. You don't have to iron it. You can press it with your finger, but this definitely gives more of a clean line. And then you're going to take each half and fold it in on itself again. So you're basically just hiding the raw edges, and you're going to make yourself a little piping edge that's going to go all around the apron. This is what it looks like when it's all done, and you're just going to line up your apron fabric and tuck it inside and pin it all the way around. You could probably do different stitches with this, maybe a zigzag stitch, or if you have one of those feet that have two needles, I'm not sure what that's called. I only have a regular sewing machine with one foot, so we just have one line going around, kind of in the middle. I didn't try too hard to go on one edge or the other. I just wanted to drive down the middle. But this is why it's important to have a color of thread that matches your trim because you're going to be able to see it really well. Maggie had already woken up from her nap, so I was able to try the apron on her, and I'm glad I did because I saw that I wanted to trim the edges of the shoulders once again and just make it a little bit tighter. So I trimmed that, and then now I'm going to finish with the piping. And when you're going to a raw edge, just flip it under so that you can't see the raw fabric when you're starting a new line. So I did the back piece first, and now I'm going to add the bottom of the apron, and I'm just going to tuck that fabric under and make it line up really nicely with the back fabric. This part can be a little bit tedious, but just take your time because especially going around the corners, you want to make it look really nice. All right, back to the machine we go. We are just going to finish sewing all this piping on. And if you're thinking about it in advance, try to make your pins facing, the pin heads facing you so you can just pull them out as you go. I don't recommend running over your pins. Sometimes that could break your sewing machine needle, so just a little tip. Try to have your pin heads facing you so you can pull them out as you sew. All right, we are sewing with a toddler hanging on us now, so I did make a little mistake here. Okay, you go, girl. The awkward moment when you ran out of bobbin thread and this is the entire length of stitch that you got and you didn't notice. Oh my goodness, I thought I was done and I took it off and like none of this is attached. Oh my goodness, this is why I don't do projects. Is it just me or do you always run out of bobbin thread at the very last step and it's just like the most annoying thing to have to redo your bobbin when you're almost done with the project? Alright, since we already redid our bobbin, I decided we're going to add a pocket because Maggie loves pockets. She loves hiding things in little bags and little spaces. So of course we had to do a pocket. So I had a little bit of fabric left over and I had already put my iron away. It would have been easier if I just had my iron out. But I basically made this a rectangle. And for the top of the pocket, I'm going to do a double fold, sort of like we did for the piping. And that's just going to make a nice clean edge at the top of the pocket. We're going to sew that down. And then I'm going to place the pocket onto the apron, make it all nice and even, and tuck the edges under, pin it, and then sew all the way around, except for the top of the pocket, of course, where you want the opening. Lastly, I just sewed a line down the middle of the pocket as well, just to make two little spaces. And here's the finished product. I think it's so cute. I asked Maggie to model it for me real quick. Thankfully, it fits her and it looks really cute, and I just love seeing her watering the plants and playing with Play-Doh and all kinds of stuff while she's wearing it. It's just really sweet. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video and let me know in the comments down below if you have any sewing projects coming up. Bye guys!